predatory tax policy of Caliphate and arbitrariness of officials increased the discontent among the population. The local feudal lords dismissed from position, limiting possessions led the local feudal lords turn away from invaders. In the middle of the 8th century, fighting intensified against the policies of the Umayyad dynasty in the Caliphate and in the dependent countries. The main participants in the center of the rebellion, supporters of the religious sect, were called the Kirigiler, foreigners. They demanded the caliph elected by the people. Riots was launched simultaneously in several countries could not cope with it. The protest was increased against the Caliphate in 748 to 752, though it was headed by the local feudal chiefs, but in almost all part of the population. In 748, Barda, Beyligin and Ardabil soon spread throughout the revolt. Revolt was led by Muzaffar, which was butcher. The Abbasid had ruthlessly suppressed all riots which directed to the Caliphate. Muzaffar was killed in battle. In the second half of the 8th century, protests against the Caliphate was restored again. During the reign of Caliph Harun ar-Rashid, the rebellion was over 15. Beyligin and Barda was the main focus of revolts. Revolts were covered Shirvan, Dagestan and other provinces in Azerbaijan. Darbans distinguished particularly. Khazars gave military help to Darbans. These revolts paved the way for Kurram movement. Kurram movement lasted 60 years, 778 to 838. This movement was against Arab rule and feudal oppression. Kurram demanded to give land to the people. They wanted to distribute material wealth equally among the people. Kurram fought for social equality. Kurram for the first time in the fight against the foreign invaders and raised a red flag as a symbol of freedom and wore a red dress. In Azerbaijan, struggled sharply between Javidin, who led the Kurram, and Abu Imran. Javidin was the owner of Bayaz Tower. In the 816, at the first meeting with Babek, he felt that Javidin was a patriotic young man. He brought with him Bayaz. Babek was born in a poor family by Lalabad near the village of Ardabil in 798. Kurram's revolts happened a few times till Babek. The revolt 778 suppressed soon. The second revolt occurred in 808 during the period Harun ar-Rashid. The revolt was led by Javidin. The Arabs could barely with the rebels. Many of the rebels were destroyed. In one of the battles in 816, Javidin and Abu Imran killed each other. The leadership to Kurram passed to the hands of Babek. Meanwhile, Babek was 18 years old. The failure of the revolt showed that the personal differences between Javidin and Abu Imran weakened the fight against the enemy. Babek created a strict military discipline in the army. In the battles was led by Muawiyah, Abdullah, both were Babek's brothers, Tarkhan, Aden, Rustam. Villagers were the main driving forces of liberation army. They took part the urban poor, artisans, large and medium feudal. Kurramite center was Azerbaijan. The war started here. Said Nafisi, Iranian historian, acknowledges that in the present Kurramdin, which was dominated by Babek, is a wide country in northwestern Iran. This is a part of the territory of South Azerbaijan, the other part of is the Republic of Azerbaijan. Caliph sent the first regular army against Kurram in 819. The rebels defeated the army. In the early 20th years 9th century, Babeki was released Sayunik, Barda, Beyligin, Karabagh, several cities in Iran by defeating enemies. Kurramites won the battles I Hastadsaar in 829 and II Hastadsaar in the year 836. In the 830, Kurramites again won the Battle of Hamadan and took the city of Hamadan. At the end of 833, the battle was begun again near the city of Hamadan. Kurram suffered a heavy defeat for the first time in the battle to Hamadan. After this victory, Caliph stopped the war against Byzantium. All the army directed against Babeki. The famous commander Afshin was appointed leader-in-chief of the Arab army in 835. He was commander of Turkish origin. Afshin passed the headquarters to Barzand, which is close to the fortification Kurramite. The length of the struggle for freedom and cover large areas did him difficult to lead. There were losses, the peoples tired of long wars. During the longer war, decreasing the number of Khurramis, but the enemy had new forces. Saul ibn Sumbat, Ibn Bais, Abu Musa, and others gradually disappeared from him. Afshan was the ruler's central provinces of Iran and Azerbaijan. Caliph had given him exceptional powers. Caliph sent 2 large army and 30 million dirhams for help Afshan in 837. Afshan has made an offer of peace to Babek, and he tried to believe him that to Khalifa give him a pardon. The aim was to use from Babek against Byzantium. But Babek did not accept this proposal. Last battle Baz began on August 26 in 837. 100,000 strong military of the Byzantine emperor in an attempt to crack down on the back Arabs did not help Babeki. Babek's brave commander Aden was headed to defend of the Baz Tower. 100,000 people from Arabs, 80,000 people from Kurrams were killed. Arabs were entered Baz hardly. Babek came to Aran after the collapse of Baz Tower. His aim was to go to the Byzantine emperor, gain new force for to continue the war. After the Battle of Baz, despite all attempts of Afshan, Babek did not surrender. Afshan received a letter from Caliph of consent about forgiveness Babek. Babek did not change his mind. So, Caliph changed his mind. He was declared that it will award 2 million dirhams to the man who is handed over alive. Sahl ibn Sumbad betrayed him and handed over him to the Arabs. He was a former ally of Babek. Babek was executed the orders of Caliph Motasim on March 14 in 838 at Samarra. In the struggle for freedom, the betrayal of the largest nobles and their help to the Arabs were the main reasons defeat of the war. The involvement in the war against Kurram commanders and fighters of Turkish origin was also a major factor, because they were brave and warlike men. The movement Kurram by led Babek had the importance of the struggle for freedom. It was shaken and fundamentally undermined the Caliphate. This movement gave an impetus to the struggle for freedom for other nations under the rule of the Caliphate. In the 9th century, the end of the 30 and early 40 was a strong rebellion at Barda, Marand, Kuraraz Valley. The rebels resisted at the castle Tik in Karabagh. The rebellion was suppressed hardly. Abu Musa was killed by way of deception. The Caliphate undermined previous position fundamentally and could not recover. From the second half of the 9th century, independent states had occurred Caliphate associate countries and as well as Azerbaijan.